Welcome to the fourth instalment in the Kermode Uncut Film Club. As always, this is how it's going to work. I'm going to do an introduction to a film. You watch the introduction here, or maybe download it from Vimeo, then watch the film, and then come here to the Kermode Uncut site to let me know your reactions. I'm doing this introduction from a beach because this Kermode Uncut Film Club is one of my favourite movies of all time, Bill Forsyth's timeless masterpiece, Local Hero. Now, there's something a little bit different about this instalment of the Kermode Uncut Film Club. Whereas in the past, I've just argued the case for a movie I love and let you decide for yourself whether my argument has any validity. This time, I have with me a special witness. Bill Forsyth is here in Shetland for a special screening of Local Hero. And I thought it'd be a good idea to get his thoughts about the movie that I love so much to somehow bolster my argument that it really is one of the greatest movies ever made.
It was a pretty no-brainer for me to come up with the oil business because it was just happening. It was happening all around. This was the very early 80s. Aberdeen was going crazy, you know, with Americans coming in.
Bill Forsyth's career started with two fairly low-budget homegrown movies: That Sinking Feeling, which was made for less than £2,500, and Gregory's Girl, which was a huge hit here in the UK. But the seeds of Local Hero came about when David Putnam suggested to Bill Forsyth that it may be possible to make a movie that would appeal across the Atlantic, a film with his distinctive Scottish flavour, but also with appeal to the American market.
He was just finishing Chariots of Fire at that time, and so he had quite a good, and you know, with distributors in America. And he said, look, if you can come up with an idea in Scotland that's got one or two Americans in it, he said I could develop it. I wrote a treatment and I referred to the Beverly Hillbillies in that treatment, and you know, just to give Americans a kind of focus on it and what the whole thing could be like, you know. And then that allowed David to raise some money from Goldcrest to write the script.
Now, some people think that Local Hero is a very sentimental film, a story of an oil man coming from America to a beautiful Scottish village which he intends to buy and dynamite to turn into a refinery, and then being overcome by the magic and the beauty of the village itself. Yet there's a darkness at the heart of it that many people overlook. In fact, Bill Forsyth first pitched the movie as Brigadoon meets Apocalypse Now.
I was just trying to position people in terms of the ambitions for it, that it wasn't just a kind of light-hearted thing, that there were going to be undercurrents of serious issues and human things in it. I think that's really what I was trying to say. There was a little bit of war in it.
One of the most significant factors in the magical qualities of Local Hero, apart from the wonderful photography by Chris Menges and terrific central performances, is that it has a spine-tinglingly memorable score by Mark Knopfler. I remember once interviewing Knopfler and asking him how he wrote some of those themes, and he described sitting there in the recording studio watching Bill Forsyth's images, playing the guitar straight to the images in front of him, very much like the way, in fact, that Neil Young did the soundtrack for Dead Man. The result is a score which seems to come out of the landscape of the film, out of the rocks, out of the water, a score which every time you put it on conjures the film in your head. Of course, like all truly magical movies, what you see on screen in Local Hero is completely different to the reality. What you see on screen is a village overlooking a beautiful beach. In reality, the village and beach are 100 miles away from each other.
We had a deadline to find the locations, and we had 2 or 3 scouts in Scotland, and in the script I had described the little row of houses and a beach and a headland just off to one side of it and a path between them. But of course they looked for, you know, weeks and weeks and couldn't find anything like that in Scotland. Finally they said, we're going to show you this place and we'll get photographs of this beach 100 miles away, and at 5 o'clock you're going to say this will work, you know. So that's what happened. They took me down to Pennon, they showed me the row of houses, they said, what do you think? I said, that's fine. And I said, now where's the beach? And they said, well, these are the photographs, it's 100 miles that way.
The funny thing is that many filmmakers don't like their movies as much as the audiences who embrace them. I've loved Local Hero since I first saw it in the early 1980s. Bill Forsyth himself refused to watch the film after it was released, saying that all he could see were the things that were wrong with it. Now, a few years ago, I had the great honour of going to Pennon with him to watch the film being shown in the newly rebuilt Village Hall, and he did sit and watch the movie, and he commented that huge sections of it were missing. And I said, what are you talking about? I've seen this film loads of times, the film is complete. And Forsyth said, actually, I'm not remembering the film. I'm remembering the script. He hadn't seen the film for 25 years, and the version of it in his head was based on the script. In the end, perhaps the reasons I love Local Hero so much are entirely personal. I hope you love it too. Here's what Forsythe thinks.
It's where you were in your life when you came upon that thing that is as much a reason why it's an anchor for you as the thing itself, I think. So it was maybe just the way that you were feeling at that point that made you connect with it. And so when you think about the film, you think about who you were and your feelings then, something like that.
For me, Local Hero is ultimately best understood as a modern retelling of Whiskey Galore. It has that bawdiness, it has that cynicism, it has that edge. It is not a sentimental film, despite its reputation. I hope you feel the same way about it. Watch the movie, and then let me know what you think here at Kermode Uncut.